Welcome to Latter-day Miracles, where we share true stories of angels and marvels.
Get ready to enjoy accounts from everyday people that remind us of divine love, that we're never truly alone, and the power of faith in these latter days. I'm Haley Hatch-Freeman.
And I'm Misty Smith. Sit back, open your heart, and prepare to be inspired.
Welcome to Latter-day Miracles. Today, I'm so excited to introduce Liz Watt. I met her just a couple weeks ago. We were both speaking at an event that was a really neat event for kids with scholarships. It was called American Free Enterprise Project. And she was so kind and helpful to me. I just knew that I needed to have her on this podcast to share her miracle stories with you. So I know that we're going to be filled with some awesome edifying stories today. I will turn the time to Misty to introduce her.
Wonderful. Okay. Liz Watt is a dynamic leader, holistic wellness expert, and CEO dedicated to helping others live their fullest potential. As a multi-bestseller author, public speaker, and podcast host, she uses her voice to inspire positive change and share her life's mission of service. Together with her husband of over 32 years, she coordinates Utah's largest natural health and wellness conference, empowering her community to embrace proactive, natural living. A devoted mother of 6, Elizabeth brings both heart and purpose to everything she does. She lives by her motto, live today to bless others tomorrow. I love that. And strives daily to make a lasting impact on the world. Excited to get to know you better, Liz.
Well, it's fun to be able to be on here, be with you girls.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Do you want to go ahead and start us off with a little bit about your book?
Yes. So in December, I put out, it was a memoir of my life, and it took 2 years to bring that to pass. But as Haley said that she's been reading it.
Yeah, I wanted to say I just started reading it, and it is written so beautifully, and it just sucks me in. It is a story that you won't want to put down in her book, so I highly recommend it. And the story is so captivating. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about your life.
Yeah, so I actually grew up in a polygamous family, and when people think about a polygamous family, they think about all the awful things about it. Now, every family comes with its struggles, right? But this book is an inspirational memoir because it's not about all the negative stuff, but it's just me and how I navigated that process through it. And we all struggle through different things. And what my goal is that, when people read this book, that they find their own stories in it. Because I feel like Heavenly Father blessed me with so many different stories in my life that there are going to be things in that book that people totally relate to. And that's what I love, is that after I got through writing it, I was like, wow, I've been through some crazy experiences in my life. But that's because everyone else out there is experiencing something like I did, and they're just going to resonate with it. So when they read it, they feel like it's them being in that moment. We've all felt rejection. We've all felt where friends haven't been kind to us. We've all felt maybe some experiences with our parents and having to choose differently, but in the end, it's like, what are these stories that we learn from that? And I think that we're giving all of these experiences just like I did with mine. And it's really about, at the end, why is it that you were given that? Why is it a blessing in your life? And so it's like going through these experiences to be able to find the blessings amongst our tragedies, because we all have that. We all have that, but it's really about the lesson that we learn, right? Isn't that what it is?
Yes, absolutely. I love the joy when you're telling that. There's just like joy behind your eyes. So it makes me just want to pick up the book and read it, because lots of times people bring a lot of that emotion and struggle. And sometimes people sit in that hard, but there's just joy when you're just describing it. So I'm excited to read it.
Well, and it's like, that is, when it comes down to it, Heavenly Father doesn't want us to struggle. he doesn't, it's not probably easy for him to see this, but he knows that that's the plan too. Right. And so it's finding him through the process. It's finding those blessings through the process. And when we include him in our struggles, it's like he can lift those burdens from us, right? That's just how it is. That's how the plan was set up. And so he doesn't like to see us go through them, but he likes to see what we do with them, which is so important.
Love that.
Yeah.
And even, I say that book, it took me 2.5 years to do. I thought, okay, I had this was before I go on with my main miracle, we're going to talk about, I had a miracle that happened with that book coming about. It was like for so many years, he kept on telling me, you need to write your story. You need to write your story. And I kept on pushing it off because, oh my gosh, when you have to write something like this, you have to become so vulnerable. You have
Yeah.
to share your heart and you have to share the good and the bad, right? You have to, it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know how far Haley has gone to, but there's things in there that I'm not proud of too, right? Because that's just our life's journey. And I didn't want to have to share all of that. And so I kept on pushing it aside. And then I had a really bad accident and I talk about it in the beginning of the book.
Oh, I felt that pain. Oh, yeah.
And I actually went to the temple with me and my husband. Afterwards, we decided we're going to go to dinner. And I had a really bad accident where just stepped on a rock and I ended up smashing my face into the cement. I mean, it was awful. I probably even cracked my skull a little bit. It was, and then I ended up tearing both of my knees. I mean, it was,
Oh my goodness. It's just a
an
rock.
awful, yeah, it was an awful experience. I'm like, you go to the temple and this is what happens. But, it was that moment that Heavenly Father just said to me, Liz, I'm giving you a gift of stillness so that you could write your book. And, these hard things, like, look what the beautiful things that can come out of them if we choose to look at it that way. And I was like, you're right. Like, I had to wait 6 weeks so I could get a knee replacement because one of my knees was so bad that it was irreparable. They couldn't do anything. And they're like, you need a knee replacement. And I had to wait 6 weeks to get an operation. And so I couldn't do anything. All I could do was just sit. My knee wasn't straightening or bending. I mean, it was locked in a place. All I could do was sit. And I was like, wow, he actually is giving me a gift of stillness because I can't do anything for my kids. I can't. I could barely even go to the bathroom and stuff like that. And so anyways, I wrote my first rough draft sitting there for 6 weeks.
Wow.
And I thought, okay, I'm going to be able to get this book out probably, hopefully in October, because who has all this time where they just have to sit and focus? But little did I know the journey it would take me on. And because of that, it helped me become a beautiful writer. I feel like now I know how to write. I know how to captivate people. I know how to bring people into the story. And, before I was just telling a story. I wasn't like letting people experience the story. And that's what that book needed. And it needed me to meet all of these different people along the way. I mean, I had 5 different editors. I did because I'd never written a book. A lot of times people write a book, they just send it to one editor and it's done. I worked with 5 different editors and okay, this editor, like I even worked with one of my editors. I said, okay, I basically have this. How do I start? And she was like, okay, you need to actually start your stories like right here. And you need to have these in chronological order here. And then I had a different lady. I was like, you know what? Now I need to make sure that the words come off the page. Like it's just not just where you're reading it, but where it's like they just are, coming off at you. And so I was able to be taught then, how do you do it so that people enjoy it and feel like they're in the story, right? And then I had another person that I sent it to, and I was like, okay, you're not LDS. You're not around here. You don't know about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Can you read this and let me know if it makes sense to you? And so that was one of my editors that I did, And then I had another editor that made sure that all of the punctuation, and then it's to the Chicago manual style. And there's just so many different aspects when it comes to bringing together a book. And I didn't know in the beginning, but it was like Heavenly Father just guided me all along the way. And then it was the day that it was like, okay, I have to get it out there. I can't hold back anymore. And I knew that my story had to be told. And so right before Christmas, like 2 weeks before Christmas, I finally put it out there.
Wow.
And I get texts all the time that it's like, Les, I was just reading your book and I cannot believe how much I relate to all of your stories. And it has really inspired a lot of people. And the thing is that it's not me. It's actually Heavenly Father. It's his story that he gave me.
I love that. Thank you for your spell that.
Everyone go out and get it. Yes, everyone go out and get it.
We'll put a link. Yeah, in the show notes.
Yeah. It's called Becoming Me, A Polygamous Girl's Journey to New Beginnings is what it's called. So
yeah. And it turned out wonderful. Do you want to tell any more about growing up as a polygamist? Anything that comes in mind? Or do you want to go to your miracle story with your son?
There is a lot of goodness that comes with that. But I really think if people read the story, they'll be able to feel it and understand it a little bit more. There's a lot, I guess you'd say, podcasting realm, YouTube realm, that it's really coming to light about polygamy and stuff. And there's a lot of people that are struggling with it and they don't know where to sit with it. And when you start to look at where these people came from and the type of atmosphere that they were living in, and they were trying to figure out navigating their lives through that, you can kind of start to feel a little empathy for them. And I think that is where we feel connection with others, is when we can feel empathy for them and the struggles that they went through. And you know what? They're just like us. We are not figuring life out except for the moment that just passed, right?
Right.
And how often are we being judged by things that we didn't know yet, or we don't know how to experience things yet? And so when it really comes down to the polygamy whole issue about that, and we have to really give compassion to people that live that way and realizing that they're different. It was different times and they're going through different things, just like they are not experiencing what we're experiencing right now.
Absolutely.
And so, like growing up that way too, I was able to experience some of that and realize that a lot of people ask me when it comes to how I feel about it and how I feel about it, a long time ago, and whole thing with Joseph Smith, Brigham Young, all that type of stuff. And what I tell people is that where does my testimony lie? My testimony actually lies in Jesus Christ and the restoration of the gospel. And however that came about is how it came about. The messiness, the goodness, everything of how it was, that's how it all came about so that I can experience how it is today.
Yeah.
And so we need to give thanks and gratitude that they had to go through all of this messiness. But now we get to experience the goodness of it today. And if I sit there and I look at and judge them for their things that they went through, how they could also judge me right now too.
Right.
But that it's not going to change anything. It's not going to, whatever was true or not true or how it came about does not take away the fact of where our testimony lies today. And that's where we need to focus on today. Because the only reason why we're here is because of them.
Yeah.
Really, that's the only reason why, and the things that they figured out along the way. And so we cannot judge them. We just have to be grateful. And that is how I think Heavenly Father really, really works, is that we have to find the love, peace, and gratitude for whoever has come before us or whoever is before us right now. because that's what he wants us to strive to do, is to find that connection, love, empathy for the things that they've also gone through.
For sure. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. All
So
right.
are you guys ready for me to start on my miracle story?
Jump into it.
I love
Thank
it.
you.
I'm excited.
Okay, so as you know, I have 6 kids. I have 5 boys and 1 girl. I had 4
Wow.
boys, and then I had a girl, and then I had a boy.
Okay.
Now, when I was 15 years old, it was 2 weeks into my sophomore year, I tore my knee completely. I only had 1 ligament that was holding my whole knee together.
Oh my goodness.
And I ended up having multiple surgeries on my knee. And it was during that time in your life when you were a teenager. And I was actually a cheerleader at the high school. And I thought, I'm going to be this popular girl. I'm going to be able to be there walking down the halls with all the cheerleaders, the football players. I'm going to be cheering at all of the games and all that stuff, right? Well, 2 weeks into it, I ended up tearing my knee. And all of a sudden, it's like surgery, homeschool, crutches. My old dreams of, I talked about being a polygamous family, right? I thought finally I'm going to be this popular girl. And all of a sudden, everything was stripped away from me. And I then had to figure life out. And it was so hard because here of what I thought was going to be my rescue was now it was like I was empty and I was in pain and I couldn't make friends because I'm on crutches, right? And I had to be homeschooled. And it was like all of this stuff. And so, anyways, the reason why I tell you this story is because this sets up for the miracle that happened in our life. Is that my oldest son, 14 years old, out playing football, tears his knee, tears his ACL.
Oh,
And all of a sudden, it's like, oh my goodness, I know what he's going through. I know the pain that he's experiencing. He's 14 years old. And at that moment, whatever's happening at that moment is the most important thing in your life, right?
mhm.
And all of a sudden, he is torn knee. And I was like, okay, this happened when I was 15. I know exactly what he's talking about. And we sent him in to get a knee operation. He ends up a year later tearing it again. So now he's 15.
No.
He tears it again. But we were holding off from him getting a knee operation. We knew we needed to go and get a new one, but he had just had one the year before. And so we were trying to okay, how can we figure this out? We was on a standstill for a little bit. Well, then my second son was out playing football, 14 years old, tears his knee.
No. Poor you, Mom, just in general.
So now we have 2 kids
Wow.
with ACL tears.
Oh, wow.
So we send them in to go get ACL surgeries back to back. One was at 2 hours apart. They were both in surgery that same day because we couldn't send our second son in without fixing our first son who already had it torn for a year, right? And the thing is that the first son, he tore the second time he tried to do football again, but it tore and he was trying to do football and he just realized that, okay, football, he can't do that anymore. So now we have 2 kids that I'm taking care of that both had ACL surgeries on the exact same day, right?
Wow.
And so then our second son, he ended up making the cheer team because he realized he couldn't do football anymore because of his torn ACL. So he ends up making the cheer team. Loves it. He was at his sophomore year, his junior year, and now he's going to be a senior. 3 weeks before his senior year. I mean, he was awesome too. He was balanced, was just awesome. Well, he ends up 3 weeks before his senior year, tears his knee again.
Oh, wait, your second son. So your
This
first
is our
one
second son.
had two
It's already
more.
turned twice. Yes, and now it's the
Oh.
second son. And now this coach that's on the varsity team for his high school year kicks him off the team because he tears his knee. He has the lockers with all of the cheerleaders on the same aisle. And guess what? She moves them. And can you imagine the thing? I mean, this all of a sudden, I'm just like going, oh my gosh, this is my life. My life. This is my life. Like, I see what's going on with him. And I'm like, okay, we cannot have this happen. Like, we just can't. What we did with him is we ended up sending him. We found a doctor that was in New Zealand. I know this sounds crazy, but I don't know if you know what the All Blacks team is. He does the All Blacks is the rugby team in New Zealand. Rugby is huge there. Okay.
Yes,
it is like, and it is in Auckland. I mean, it's the biggest part. And like this doctor is the surgeon for the All Blacks team. And we're like, okay, this guy can get back his players in 4 months on the field.
Wow.
He can do that. He can get Caden back quick, right? And we're like, okay, we are going to send him to New Zealand to go meet with this doctor.
Wow.
Because at that moment, a mom is just trying to do everything she can to alleviate the pain that the child's going through, right?
Right.
And so we're like, he wakes up in the morning and we say, Caden, pack your bags. You're going to New Zealand today. He's like, well, it ended to be, there was another girl. I mean, this was just such a miracle. There's another girl in the ward. It was during homecoming season now because this had been 3 weeks. Homecoming is the first week of homecoming, whatever, first week of the school. She's out playing powder puff football, tears her knee. And her uncle is the therapist for this doctor in New Zealand. The All Blacks team. So we ended up meeting, like seeing him at church, and we said, well, we heard that she tore her knee. And he's like, yeah, I'm sending her to New Zealand. And we're like, can Caden come with? Can Caden come with? And he's like, yeah, he can come with. And so he calls his brother, and his brother is actually over the books because the lady that's over the books went out of town. Caden ends up getting back to cheer 3 weeks later. Because by this time it had been 6 weeks. So he gets back to being out there at least 3 weeks later and then competing after 4 months in Florida with his team.
Wow.
So in which they end up winning and all that kind of stuff. And him being able to do that, it's like his senior year came back, right?
Yeah.
And I was talking to the coach. She's like, do you think he's really going to be able to do this? I'm like, yes. I know he can. I can just please put him back on the team. Well, so anyways, so then our life goes on. This is great. Caden is able to have an awesome experience, right? All of a sudden, Jace is on his mission. My first child. He's on his mission. He's been out 18 months and he was riding his bike, was going up this hill, and all of a sudden his knee tears.
No.
For the third time, and he's on his mission. And when something like that happens, they have to come home from their mission. And he barely, yes, and the rules are that if it's anything before 18 months, then they'll let you come back out. If it's anything after 18 months, you have to stay home. And so the mission president, it was right at that moment of like, we have to send you home today, or if we send you home in 2 days, it's going to be different. It's like right there at that moment. And he just, all of a sudden he realized that this is my third time tearing my knee. I don't know how I'm going to come back from it. And I don't know if he's going to, by the time he gets home and everything, it's going to be a little struggle, right? And so he's like, I don't think I'm going to be able to come back out on my mission, which was really hard because here he's in Japan and it takes a lot to be able to learn Japanese. It is a hard language. And he ends up coming home. So now we're sitting there, we're like, Okay, well, we've already sent Caden to New Zealand.
Yeah.
We're going to send Jace. We're going to send Jace. So
Okay.
Jace gets home, he flies in, and we had sent him right to the doctors that were right here. And then a week later, they come back. So he'd already been waiting 2 weeks to get this knee operation. And so we're like, okay, we're going to send you to New Zealand if that's a possibility.
Mhm.
He ends up calling the sister missionary that was on his mission in Japan. And she was from New Zealand. And he's like, hey, I'm coming there for knee surgery. Can I stay with you? She's like, oh, yes, you can come stay with our family. That's just fine. We've been talking with the doctor that was there. We sent him all of the MRIs. And he's like, okay, we can schedule him this day. And we're like, that's great. Get him on the books. He's coming. It was just going to be like 2-3 days. He was going to be in New Zealand. And he had him scheduled for his pre-op and all that kind of stuff. So we get everything booked. We get the surgery booked. We get his flight booked. And all of a sudden, the sister missionary calls and says, we're really sorry, but you can't stay with us. I talked to my parents and we don't have room and you're not going to be able to stay with us. And we're like, okay, well, he's already booked to go there. He already has his surgery. He already has his flight. We need to figure this out. So we start calling there, trying to find hotels, Airbnbs, like everything is booked because they're having a huge competition come in for rugby and nothing is available. Nothing is available. So we try to call the mission office and they're like, sorry, he's not a missionary. He can't stay with us. We try to call the bishops and nobody's responding with us. We're trying to find just somebody that can take him in because the thing is I have a lot of little kids at that time and it was so quick. And we're like, it's not going to work if one of us go. We just have to send him. He's already been on a mission. He knows how to take care of himself, you know? And so we're like, okay, Heavenly Father, something has to work out here. Like something has to work out here. It's going to work out. We just don't know how it's going to work out. And we just kept on praying and praying and praying. And like, we could not get a hold of a bishop. We couldn't find him a hotel. And it was getting down to the wire. My husband comes home for lunch. Jace's flight is at 5:00. I have to take him at 3:00 to the airport. And right now it's 12:00. We still don't know where he's going. And we're like, okay, Jace, the flight takes 12 hours. So we don't know, like, we need this 12 hours probably to figure this out still. And we might get on this plane and still not know where you're going. But by the time you get there, call us, right?
Yeah.
They're just like, it's getting down to the wire here, stressed out. And I look on Facebook and I'm like, Jace, did you make a post that you're going to New Zealand to get knee surgery? And he's like, yeah, I'm sorry. I just put that on there. I'm like, no, somebody commented underneath and said, hey, Jace, I'm in Australia, but I'm flying there tomorrow. I would love to meet up with you. And I was like, who is this person, Jace?
Right.
Who is this person that's in Australia
Yeah.
going to New Zealand is going to be there? And we're like, we need his number. Well, so anyways, he just responds and he's like, hey, it's kind of an emergency. Can you send us your number? And so anyways, he ends up sending us his number. My husband calls and explained this situation and said, hey, we're sending our son there to get knee surgery. We thought we had a place for him to go. His flight is already booked. His surgery is already booked. And can you help us out? Like, I know you said you're going to New Zealand. Is there any way that you can help us figure this out? And he goes, I'm on a business trip and I'm going to New Zealand and my partner decided last minute couldn't come. But I have a hotel in Auckland and I have 2 beds and he can come stay with me.
Oh my goodness. So good.
And well, anyways, this guy ended up to be that it was his paw on trek 4 years before that. He's actually was in our state.
Oh,
It was in our state.
Yeah.
And he was on a business trip going from Australia and then going to New Zealand. And anyways, he ends up telling him, okay, this is the hotel I'm staying at, which was the Hilton there. Ends up to be the nicest hotel in all of Auckland, and looks like a cruise ship on like, it's a hotel, but it's looks like a cruise ship on the water. It's just amazing. So Jace flies in. He goes straight to his doctor's appointment. And then he's like, I'll just meet you at the hotel. So then afterwards, he Ubers his way over to the hotel, and he like FaceTimes us. He's like, you will not believe how nice this place is. And anyways, the guy ends up showing up, and then he goes, you know what? I was able to work out my schedule. I can be at the hospital with him the whole time he's having his surgery, and then bring him back and everything. And the thing is they told me, they said there's an adult that has to pick him up from the hospital.
Okay.
And that's what we were praying for. Is it was like, if he was to get like an Airbnb or something, there wouldn't have been an adult there, and I would have had to figure something out, you know? And so anyways, this guy just comes in. He's actually from our area, lives where we live. And he knows Jace by being his paw on track.
Yeah.
And brings him into his place, into his hotel room, takes care of him for those 3 days, right? And we said, when we sent him, we said, okay, Jace, at least we know where you're going to be for 3 days.
Yeah.
We need to figure out the rest. Just go and we'll figure out the rest. So Jace flies there, and then that night, my husband had to take my third son to rugby practice. So he goes to rugby practice, and there's this another guy that's there, and we knew that he was from, it's Polynesian, whatever. And he's like, hey, I just sent Jace to New Zealand because he's getting knee surgery. And he's like, oh, really? He's like, I have family in New Zealand. And he's like, my niece lives there, and she's the only active member of the church that lives there. And we're like, Shane goes, we need to talk. We need to talk. Tells him the story, and Jace only has 3 days here. We need to figure out the rest, because the doctor was really concerned with him. This is his third one, that the screws were deteriorating in his bone. And so he's like, he needs to stay here, not just for the week. He needs to stay here for 9 days. So we're like, okay, 3 of the 9 days we got it taken care of.
Yeah.
He's like, can you maybe talk to your niece? Maybe can Jace go there? Like, or she knows places of where he can go. Like, we just need to find a place that he can go to. Well, anyways, that sister missionary ends up calling back and saying, okay, I was able to figure it out with my sister. You can go there for 2 days.
Okay.
So Jace went and stayed with her for 2 days, which he loved, because he was able to go to see Hobbitville and all that stuff. Lord of the Rings and so. But then in the process, so he still needed to go to a place for 4 days. We didn't know where. So this guy ends up calling his niece and saying, hey, can Jace, I know him, he's from our state. Can he come and stay with you? We would love to have Jace come. We would love to have him. And so anyways, he ends up going and staying with them. And the husband was just baptized. It had only been like 2 months before he'd been baptized. And he was like so elated because he had a missionary in his home, and he was able to talk to him, and they ended up falling in love with him. And the thing is that now we have a family that's there, the Lavakulas in New Zealand, who's like a second family to us. And, when we step back, it's like Heavenly Father created this whole thing. He orchestrated everything. Everything he orchestrated. There's no way we could have done this. There's no way we could have figured this out on our own. And it's like, we have to have that faith. We just have to, right?
Yeah, that was crazy miracle.
It was, because we couldn't have done it. And the thing is that now we have, then my third son was out playing rugby and ends up tearing his knee when he was 16 years old. So now my third son tore his knee. We end up calling up the Lavakula family.
What?
And so
Right.
we end up calling, I know. We end up calling the Lamacula family saying, now our son Brax towards can,
Family out there.
can he come and stay with you? Oh, we would love to have Brax come. Well,
Oh.
Brax ends up going there. And it was like, they fell in love with Brax. They just are like, we love Brax. He's our kid. Like, he's just our son. He ends up staying with them for the whole week. And they just washed over him so closely. Well, Brax, he ended up coming back because, it's this amazing doctor in New Zealand, right? Ended up, it was just going to be his senior year. Football was on the horizon. And he's like, I really want to play football. He ended up getting back on the field out there in 4 months and playing incredible, so much that he was on the highlights every single weekend of the amazing plays that he was doing. He was just killing it on the field out there. And we're just like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. And then 5 months into it, he ends up
I know.
his other knee. Other knee. And so we ended up sending him to New Zealand again within 6 months, having 2 ACL surgeries. The Lavacula family just brought him in again, loved on him, and just felt like he had a home, a place to stay, right? And, thank goodness that's all that we've had with our ACL surgeries with those kids.
Wow, that's enough for a life.
Our fourth child, thank goodness he's on a mission right now, has not torn his knee. He was able to make it through all of football, all of wrestling, all of lacrosse, and not tear a knee. But was so blessed. But the thing is that we look back and, I would not have been able to fight for my kids as much as if I didn't experience that first. And I wouldn't have been able to feel the feelings and the heartache they went through if I hadn't have been there. When I saw Brax, my third child, out there after he tore his other knee, I was like, I get it. I know. Like, I saw his dreams fade away, knowing that he's had 2 ACL surgeries now. There's no college out there that's going to take him. And he was such a talent in football. But with having 2 ACL surgeries, I could see his dreams just kind of wash away. And it's like when I held them and hugged them, it's like, I know what you're going through. Because, with me, I ended up tearing my knee again my senior year. And I was at that point taken off the team. They were giving my clothes to another girl. And it was just as like, I got it. Like I knew what they were going through. And what a blessing that I was able to feel what they were feeling so that I could be there for them when they needed me the most, right? And thank goodness I feel that when we control our lives so much, just like with Jace, we had to give up control and just realize Heavenly Father's going to create a plan. Like he sent you here, he knows what happened. He knows that this happened on your mission. You were given service. Something's going to happen. We just don't know what it was. We just had to have faith that it was going to happen. And when we can give up that control, that's when he can swoop in and fix it. Because if we control it so much on our side, then he's not allowed to come in and pick up those pieces. And the thing is that when Jace was there in New Zealand, he had some incredible experiences. One thing is I sent him with cash. And I'm like, because I don't know how, here's my work credit card. I just sent him, I didn't have much in it. I only had like $300 in it, but I was just like, here's my work credit card, but here's some cash. And here's at least $100 in cash. And we'll figure out, what other kind of money that we need to have along the way. And he ended up not thinking about it, but paying all of his medicine with the cash that I gave him. So now all he had was the credit card. I was like, okay, Jace, you probably should have paid your medicine with the credit card and kept your cash in case you're doing like something, you need to ride someplace or whatever, so you have cash. Well, anyways, he goes to pay. He's at like a Subway. He goes up there to go pay, and they're like, "Sorry, we don't take credit cards."
Oh.
And he was talking to the lady that was behind him. She goes, "Now you're a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, right?" He goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well," the lady said, she goes, "Well, your church really believes in paying it forward, so I'm going to pay it forward, and I'm just going to pay for yours."
Oh, wow.
Well, and so, yes, I mean, just as like, that was a miracle right there that happened to him. Um, and then he was walking through a store, and this guy walks up to him and he goes, "Are you a missionary?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, I just got off my mission." He goes, "I can tell because you have a glow that's around you."
Oh.
And it's like he got these little nuggets the whole time, realizing that Heavenly Father is there with him, that He is there with him, just guiding him and giving people who he needs at that moment, different circumstances, different situations that would just help and bless him along the way. And now each of my kids, as you can tell, have had miracles that have happened to them, that Heavenly Father was right there with them. The thing that I look at is that because they went through each of these, they were able to experience the miracles themselves. It wasn't me that had to tell them. They were able to experience that. And so a lot of times as parents, we try to create these situations so that they can feel the spirit and they can see the Heavenly Father loves them. But, in the moment that this situation that they went through, I was not able to take that away from them. They had to go through the hard. They had to experience that. But because of that, they could see the love of God. They could see how God works the miracles in their lives. And because of that, now I have these 3 young men through such a young age was able to gain a testimony of the goodness of God in their life. And what a blessing, because I couldn't have done that for them. I couldn't have done that. But
About all of this, I just have to point out, I don't know, I'm sure you guys have discussed it, but throughout your full story, you talked about Chase's and honestly your boy's story. Um, you spoke about just you were doing it. You never stopped to question. You didn't call to cancel a meeting. You didn't call to be like, hold on, we gotta stop everything to figure out where he's going. We gotta stop to figure out where he's gonna be 4 days. There was always continual momentum. There was motion in everything you guys did. And I feel like that's what faith is. Continuation of moments and allowing God to fulfill it, even if it's in the last 2 hours before his flight or the last
well,
second.
how often does he take us to that very last breaking point, right?
Yes.
Yeah, really, because that is when we are the most humble. That is when we're the most vulnerable, right? And it also got to the point where we couldn't fix it anymore. We needed outside intervention. And it was intervention that was out of our control. And I feel like that's how it was with each of our kids. Each of them were able to experience that. And the goodness of God, and that He will never leave you. He's always going to be there. And also, if we flip side it on the other way, God uses other people to create our miracles.
For sure. Absolutely.
And we have to be then that person to create the miracles for other people.
Yeah. We often hear the opposite of faith. It's fear, which can be true, but I've heard a quote that I feel is even more accurate and something that is true in all your stories is the opposite of faith is control. And that's true. You have to give up that control to have true faith. Like for me, I think that's true. Like I want to control things sometimes. And for me to have true faith is giving up control. And that's what you had to do in all the stories is to show faith was to giving up that control.
Yep. And that's how it ended up having to be, is that you know, we can only do so much. Yeah, so I just look at these miracles that we have all been blessed with are set up from God. He does not want us to go through the hard things, but He uses those moments so that we can learn and be blessed and to be able to see His goodness. And if we, like you talked about, if we control it, we're not going to be able to experience that. And we're going to start to look for the negative instead of the positive. It's because it's like where you put your focus is where you're going to find it, right?
Right.
And so,
There's a choice. It's a choice to have that mindset to see the good and to see the blessings, and
yes,
see the miracles. Yep.
yes. And if we choose to look at that, we're going to be able to see that it's actually coming to our lives every single day. Like every
Mhm.
moment of every single day, there is a miracle that is happening within us all the time. There's always something. Even today, somebody called up and I had my whole plan, my whole morning planned of what I needed to do. And I had to scratch that. Why? Because Heavenly Father needed me to be someplace else to serve somebody else. And I was her miracle today.
Yeah.
And it's like, I had to just be like, okay, Heavenly Father, I guess I'm not going to have all of this stuff planned out like exactly when I wanted to because you have another plan for me. And we
Yeah.
have to allow Him to come in and do that for us and for
Yeah.
other people. And so it's like, you know what? All of these people have been such a miracle in our lives. And the guy that took our son for the first 3 days that stayed at the hotel, the beautiful hotel, I see
Uh-huh.
him at the gym all the time. And it's like, such a reminder. And then a couple months ago, we actually saw him at the temple and just embraced and just was like, you know what? God is so good. God is just so good to all of us, recognizing that He's there, that He is every single moment, detail of our life, if we allow Him to be. And if we give up that control so that He can bless us and bless so many other people's. And you know what? Even though I wasn't able to do the things that I wanted to do today, I know He's going to provide a different way for me to be able to either get it done or not have to do it at all. Right?
I love your relationship with God, the trust you have with Him. I hope so many people are seeking for that kind of relationship. You can tell that there's the love, the trust, the happiness, the faith behind Him. And I just love it. So that's so great. Before we close, is there one final message that you want everyone to take away from your experience?
Well, I think we've kind of already talked about it, but it's like really trusting in God
Yeah.
to know that He has a better plan for you because we give Him crumbs and He gives us something beautiful, right?
Yeah. Sure.
And it's like the more that you trust in Him, the more He's able to bless you. So
Beautiful.
that is like my final message is just trust in Him.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Liz. Do you have somewhere where you would like to contact you?
Yeah, and so people can go to elizabethannwatt.com. So Elizabeth and then ANN, last name Watt, WATT.com. And there's a free gift on there that helps you to be able to move, clear out the clutter in your life emotionally and, physically, spiritually, whatever, and be able to just find more peace in your life. So everyone can go
Wonderful.
there and it's a 7-day journey to be able to, we're all on this path here and it's these cobwebs that we keep within ourselves is not allowing us to be able to experience life like we should be. And what if we could get to the point where we could clear all that out? You can go and get a free 7-day journey there. You can also at my website see all my books. You can see where to purchase them. You can get like, Haley got the digital copy or you can get the hard copy. And you can also find out, we do Be Healthy Utah. It's the largest natural health conference in Utah, where we created a platform that people come and learn how to take care of their body naturally. Because I believe that our bodies are made to heal. That's how Heavenly Father created our body. It's to heal. And so we just need to create the right environment for it to heal. And at our conference, people can come and learn just their options. It's not like they have to totally adopt that lifestyle, but they can come and learn options, because we can't be blessed unless we learn what those options are. And this is such a great opportunity to come and learn from doctors and educators and see products and services. We do it annually in Sandy, Utah, and then we also do it in St. George in the southern part of Utah. So if you go to my website, you can find out the stuff like I do. I love to be able to go speak. I love to be able to go share my message with people. If there's relief societies or firesides, if we're looking at church here, if we wanted to go, corporations and things like that, I go in and I help people learn about how to improve their businesses in the corporate world too. So,
Ooh, fabulous. We'll put all this information to contact her in our show notes on our website as well. So we'll make sure you can contact her. And this has been
yes.
wonderful.
So good.
So uplifting. Thank you so much for sharing these stories with us.
Well, thank you for taking the time to be able to create a platform that people can come and share, because I feel that everyone, as they listen to these stories, will be uplifted, and to be able to just see, be mindful of the miracles that are in our life. So thank you for taking the initiative to be able to create a platform that people can come and share their miracle stories.
Thank you. And that brings me to, if you, the listeners, have a story that they want to share and feel prompted to, please reach out and contact us. We'd love to share your story.
Thank you for joining us on Latter-day Miracles. If you have a miracle story that you feel inspired to share, we'd love to hear from you. Contact us on our website at latterdaymiracles.net or message us on social media.
Until next time, keep your heart open to the miraculous, and may you feel the presence of angels in your everyday life.